Hi folks, John Cordisco here. Another game from round one of the FIDE World Chess Cup 2015 knockout tournament to determine the finalists or some of the finalists in the candidates final, and that tournament will determine the challenger to current world champion Magnus Carlsen. This is a beautiful game, beautifully played. I'm not going to say who won. As white, my compatriot from the United States, Ray Robson, and Yuri Vovk as black. It's a French who I'm not a big fan of, but this is a beautiful game. Let's get to it. Robson is white, Vovk is black. We'll go through the opening a little bit. We don't go much as far as opening goes here. Typical French classical system. Bishop e3, pawn takes, knight takes. Bishop c5, queen d2, castles, and castles long. Okay. We'll go through the opening here. We're almost the end of the book, but let's take a look at what we have here. Obviously, opposite side castling. White's got a pretty good lock in the center, but black's d5 pawn is covering a lot of squares as well. Black's going to start getting some space on the queen side, and white's going to get some space on the king side. So it's kind of like a Sicilian with opposite castle, and it's going to be a race to the king, I think. a6, starting already with a pawn storm. Knight b3, bishop b4, pinning the knight. That's a pretty annoying pin, actually. Bishop d3, queen can't move. Pawn takes would screw up the pawns in front of white's king, and that would pretty much be doomed. b5. Now, according to the computer, that's the last book move. Let's just take a look here. Look at all the white's minor pieces. That's interesting. All on the queen side mostly, protecting the king. But at the same time, these two bishops and also the queen are bearing down. Black is trying to push the pawns. This knight's in an awkward spot, but he's probably going to jump to here eventually. The bishop will come over. Rook. I think the queen will come up, and this rook will slide over. And I think that's a general plan. And white as well, pushing pawns. A lot of arrows, but I think you get a general idea what I think the plans are for each side. Knight to d4. Bishop, knight takes, bishop takes. Okay. White got one attacker on the queen side off. Still has his bishop pair. Bishop d4. That's an interesting move there. I'm not really sure. I think what white wants to do is eventually push this, so that way this pawn is guarded. Knight to c5. Do you get rid of the light squared bishop? Decides to go queen to f2. Interesting. Knight takes, rook takes. Now that's looking really good for white here. Even though the computer says a small advantage for black, I like white. Rook can come over. The only thing out of place is this knight here. Bishop e7. Knight d1. Interesting though. Bishop c5 was worth a look, I think. Knight d1, b4, here come the pawns. Rook h3. Just going after it right away. Now, who's gonna help that rook there? I really don't know. Take a couple of moves for the queen to even get into place. Rook c8. Getting that rook right on the file with white's king. Knight to e3. Bringing the knight around. f5. He's trying to block up the position. Do you take in passant? Bishop takes, rook takes. But I think this is where Ray Robson miscues. King to b1, queen to f3, I think are good moves. Rook to g1 maybe even. But he goes g4. And I think that was the beginning of the end for Ray. As I always say, what to do, what to do. And of course, the move is pawn takes. Now if Ray had gone instead queen to e2, I think the good sequence would have been queen to e8, rook to g1. I think Ray would have been okay. But after g4, pawn takes, knight takes, bishop e8, even doesn't look like it, that bishop pair in the position right now, Ray's in trouble. Knight checks, bishop takes, e takes, bishop g6. Now, the next move for Ray shows f takes g7 with a question mark, but I don't see what else Ray could have done maybe. c3 seems kind of dangerous. Maybe rook to g1 might have been better. Really don't know. He played f takes, and that starts the downslide for white. This is where it starts getting really beautiful at the end. Rook to f7. Bishop e5, queen g5. Kind of dismal now for white. Rook over. If pawn had taken the queen, rook takes queen. c3, still bad. Bishop takes. King to d2. It's just horrible. Look at this horrible. Poor Ray. I feel bad for him. Being I'm from the U.S., I kind of feel bad for Ray. Bishop g6 just comes back. Now, in a lot of ways, it's funny when your enemy pawns in front of your king like that. It seems awful dangerous, but in a lot of ways, it shields the king. It's kind of like a traitor. Rook to c1. Rook takes, king takes. Queen f5. Threatening all kinds of nasty stuff coming. Queen to e2. And I think this is a beautiful move here by black. What do you think would be a great move here? Stop the video and see if you can find it. d4. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What to do, what to do. And I think Ray did a natural move. A very natural move, actually. He went rook to b3. And that is the end. Queen to b1. Only move, king to d2. Queen checks. King to e1. d3. Wow. Poor Ray. Beautiful how that d4 just opened everything up and got that pawn down there. Queen to d1. Rook to d7. And as you see now, if white takes, pawn takes, and this rook shields the king away. The rook can't come over because the pawn will take, and that pawn will queen. Rook takes. I think most of us will play queen takes queen, king takes queen, but a better move is d2 check. Now the queen can't take queen because the king's in check. Has to move the king. And look at this beautiful move to finish the game. See if you can find it. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. See if you can find it. Queen takes D1 check. And that's where Ray resigns. Give you an idea what would have happened. King to F2. But king had taken. Bishop checks. King moves. And then your queen. So king has to go to F2. Queen E1 check. You're down a full queen. It's over. Give you an idea. We'll go through it here. White gets mated. Beautiful game by Vovk. Tough break for Ray. That D4 move crashed through from black. Beautiful find. Anyway, folks, that's the game, or one of the games from round one, game one of the FIDE World Chess Cup 2015. I hope you enjoyed it. Went a little fast towards the end there, so if you want to go back and maybe go a little bit slower and see some of the variations, they're quite interesting. So look for more games from the FIDE World Chess Cup. And as I always say, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.